Palestine-Israeli occupation forces continue bombing urban areas across Gaza, leaving dozens dead in the last 24 hours. In Brazil, rescue efforts intensified following strong flooding in the south as rivers continue to swell. And in Chile, the government celebrated the approval of the short law of the Social Security health institutions. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Dozens of Palestinian civilians were killed and others were injured in Israeli artillery bombing targeting several areas in the Gaza Strip. Amid the ongoing Israeli siege on Gaza, the IDF highlighted multiple deadly attacks across the Gaza Strip in the way Israeli aircraft bombed a house in the Nusayrat refugee camp in central Gaza, killing at least 14 Palestinians, including several children. In the north, Israeli tanks, bulldozers and armored vehicles surrounded evacuation areas and shelters in Jabalia as aircraft bombed several homes in Alternate Street. The UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees said on Tuesday that nearly 450,000 people have been displaced from Rafah since Israel began issuing evacuation orders from the southern Gaza City 8 days ago. In this regard, UNRWA said in a statement that Gazans face constant fatigue under hunger and fear, while the streets of the city of Rafah remain empty with no safe places. In the meantime, Israel continued targeting urban areas despite United States warnings against a full-scale assault on the southern Gaza City, which is packed with displaced Palestinians. On the other hand, the UNRWA also stated that the Israeli operations in Rafah have closed an important aid passage, worsening an already desperate situation.
We left Rafah when the attacks and heavy bombing set off. We asked and they told us that the Jews are attacking the Eastern Cemetery. In the school where we were sheltered there were no less than 5 families as we were all displaced. We had no tent or anything. We decided to head for Al-Nazir without bringing anything with us, to be honest.
In turn, Muhammad recounted the suffering his family has gone through amid the genocide perpetrated by Israel.
We are compelled to stay here. There is nowhere else to go, and we are dead anyway. Imagine we are in a room or in an apartment, and you without having done anything, without having any relation with Hamas or Israel or any other group, and suddenly the missiles fall on you. Then, people here have witnessed death more than once. It's like a cemetery here. Not even an animal accepts to stay here.
We continue in Palestine as thousands of demonstrators marched in the city of Hebron on Monday to condemn the genocide perpetrated by Israel in the Gaza Strip. Demonstration was organized by the social movement Hizb ut-Tahrir and started in front of the Al-Abrar Mosque in Hebron and headed towards the city center. Participants called on the Arab and Islamic armies to take urgent measures to save Rafah and the people of Gaza. In this regard, the spokesman of Hizb ut-Tahrir stressed that what is happening in the Gaza Strip has revived the spirit of jihad and sacrifice in the nation.
Our message today, from Hebron to the entire Islamic world, is that there is no more time to waste. It is imperative that you take action to remove these rulers and thrones and liberate Palestine immediately. After Gaza, there will be a colonization of Beirut, Damascus, Cairo, and all Muslim countries.
Palestinian authorities denounced 7 massacres perpetrated by Israel in Gaza during the last 24 hours, coinciding with the anniversary of the 1948 Palestinian catastrophe known as Nakba. Wafa news agency reported that 14 people were killed, including children, after Israeli aircraft bombed a 3-story house south of Nusayrat camp overnight on Monday. During the day, air and artillery strikes were reported in Gaza City, Beit Lahaya, and Jabalia refugee camp. According to health authorities, the Zionist occupation army committed 7 massacres against families in the Gaza Strip during the last 24 hours, killing 57 people and wounding 82. All this while the Israeli regime commemorates 76 years since the creation of the state in 1948 in the midst of the Nakba, which involved the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people.
The civil defense pulled out 3 martyrs at night and 10 wounded. In the morning we went back to work this morning, and locals are saying that there are dozens of people under the rubble. The majority dispossessed people. Around 12:30 or 1 a.m., we were surprised by the strike on this 3-store building. It was full of people, displaced from Rafah. They arrived 2 nights ago.
Meanwhile, Monday, Israeli settlers prevented the passage of humanitarian aid convoys and destroyed cargo destined to fight hunger among the Gazan population. Dozens of Israeli extremists attacked trucks near the Tarkumiya checkpoint west of Hebron, preventing their passage from the occupied West Bank to the Gaza Strip. Social media showed a group of individuals rowing the contents of one of the trucks on the ground. For the past week, Israel has continued to close the Rafah and Kerem Shalom crossings to the passage of aid, further aggravating the already critical humanitarian situation in Gaza, where some 2.3 million Palestinian citizens live. At the Qatar Economic Forum, Qatar's Prime Minister said ceasefire talks are almost at a stalemate and called out Israel's lack of clarity in regards to an end to the war, as attacks on Rafah have set negotiations with Hamas backward.
Probably there is no clarity how to stop the war from the Israeli side. I don't think that they are considering this as an option. And there is also, unfortunately, like a stereotype, even when we are talking about a deal and potential leading to a potential ceasefire, a lot of politicians are, retracting us by their statements that they will remain there, they will continue the war. And there is no clarity on what Gaza will look like after this.
Let's now take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and more. Those stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back. Rivers in southern Brazil rose again on Monday as rescue efforts intensified following floodings. More than 600,000 people have been displaced by the heavy rains, floods and landslides that have ravaged the southern state of Rio Grande do Sul for nearly 2 weeks. At least 147 people died and more than 800 were injured by the deluge. Rescue teams searched Monday in boats and jet skis for 127 missing people. Hundreds of cities and towns, as well as part of the regional capital Porto Alegre, remain underwater, with streets turned into waterways. In this context, President Luis Inácio Lula da Silva acknowledged health authorities had not been prepared for a disaster of such magnitude.
I'm anxious that the water won't go down, that it doesn't stay clean, and that we have to start from scratch again. We lost everything. We lost our car, but we are going with willpower. I know that everyone will help everyone there. We went to pick what was remaining at my father's house. The way the forecast is now, better to take what is left so we don't lose everything, as we lost a lot already.
Meanwhile, Brazilian authorities warned that the situation in the state of Rio Grande do Sul will worsen due to new floods. According to the most recent bulletin of the state's civil defense, more floods and landslides are expected to occur between Monday, May 13th and Tuesday, May 14th, due to the intensity of the rains registered during the weekend. Moreover, the agency warned about the possibility that the level of the Guaíba River could rise again and reach 5.50 meters, which would be a new record. The authorities indicate that the rains affecting the state of Rio Grande do Sul have left at least 147 dead and more than 1.4 million people affected. Meanwhile, meteorologists issued warnings due to forecasts of intense cold weather. According to them, the lowest temperatures are expected to be felt mainly from the night of this Monday, May 13, in several areas of the state, especially in the south, in the Gaucho countryside, and in the mountains region. According to the data, the intense cold will extend morning of Thursday 16, and new drops in temperatures are expected from May 17th. In view of the situation, the authorities transferred to the region a ship with food and clothing supplies to help the affected citizens, and also called to be alert for infectious respiratory diseases. In Indonesia, the death toll rises to 50 after cold lava floods started last weekend in West Sumatra province. Authorities said the floods also left at least 22 people missing and damaged dozens of homes and public buildings in several districts in the region. Emergency teams are currently carrying out search and rescue efforts in the affected areas around the Marapi volcano. The floods triggered by heavy rains on Saturday have so far killed 20 people in Agam district, 15 in Tanah Datar district, 7 in Padang Pariaman, 2 in Padang Panjang, and 2 in Padang, according to the National Disaster Management Agency. On Monday in Chile, local media reported a fire at the Palace of Justice in the city of Santiago. Authorities confirmed that firefighters controlled the fire and stated that although the magnitude of the damage is not yet known, there were no people injured or documents damaged. In a statement, the judiciary explained that the fire affected the third room of the court, known for handling several cases of great public interest in the middle of a trial. According to a preliminary report from the firefighters, the fire was caused by an electrical failure when the offices were closed.
We are investigating the origin and cause. What I can confirm is that the fire started inside the building. No documents were affected. Only the hearing room in the third room, and the damage to the structure.
The Chilean government celebrated the record time approval of the so-called short law of the Social Security health institutions, known by their acronyms ISAPRES. The law was approved in the Chamber of Deputies by 122 votes in favor and 14 against, mostly socialists and independents of the ruling party. In addition to receiving 10 abstentions, the Minister of Health, Ximena Aguilera, said that the approval was imperative for the stability of the health system as a whole. The measure implies a bailout by the Boric administration of private insurers, which cover 17% of the population with the highest income. The law includes a term of 13 years for the private companies to pay the debt to the affiliates. We have a final short break coming up, but before we invite you to join our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience, you can scan the QR code on screen to join directly and share the link to reach more people. Constant news coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean as well as the rest of the world. Stay connected and informed with teleSUR. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back. Russian President Vladimir Putin will visit the People's Republic of China on May 16th to the 17th at the invitation of his counterpart Xi Jinping. According to the Kremlin press service, Putin's trip to China is a state visit and the first since Putin assumed his fifth term in office on May 7th. During the Russian president's stay in Beijing, the two heads of state will discuss in detail the full range of issues of comprehensive partnership and strategic interaction between the two countries. After the talks, a number of bilateral documents are expected to be signed. Putin and Xi will also take part in a ceremony on the occasion of the 75th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between the two countries.
China has become a leader in global development. This does not suit the United States, which, together with its satellites, having already cannot allow anyone to become stronger and more influential than Washington. Therefore, together with our Chinese colleagues, we have an objective interest in continuing to lead in efforts to establish a more just and democratic world order. The duo of Moscow and Beijing plays a vital balancing role in world affairs. I am confident that the upcoming visit of the Russian President to the People's Republic of China will strengthen our joint work.
In India, authorities amount the death toll to 14 after a giant billboard collapsed on a petrol pump in the western city of Mumbai. Deputy Commander of the National Disaster Response Force, Nikhil Mutlokar, reported on Tuesday that 88 people were rescued, of whom 14 were declared dead by doctors and 31 were discharged. 64 victims were admitted to the hospital while rescue operations are still underway on Tuesday as several cranes and bulldozers are trying to remove the debris. The incident took place on Monday when a 30-meter-high billboard in the suburb of Gatcopar was blown away by a windstorm and fell on a petrol pump, trapping dozens of people. Authorities in Niger informed that the country's border with Benin will remain closed for security reasons due to the deployment of French troops in the neighboring country. On Monday, Niger's Prime Minister Ali Mahaman Lamine Sène said that there are French military bases on Beninese territory and terrorists are trained in some of them to come and destabilize the country. He further accused the Beninese authorities of violating a dozen agreements closed between Niger, Benin, and China, and stressed that Benin cannot unilaterally modify or limit the agreements without the consent of the other parties. In response, Beninese President Patrice Talon described the accusation as ridiculous, assuring that his country has no interest in destabilizing Niger. On Tuesday, former Australian military lawyer David McBride was sentenced to 5 years and 8 months in prison for leaking classified information to the press. According to the verdict, McBride allegedly helped leak evidence linking members of the Australian military to various war crimes committed in Afghanistan, including illegal executions of prisoners. The ruling drew strong criticism from several figures, including Stella Assange, wife of WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, who is currently in prison in the United Kingdom. Since the withdrawal of Australia's combat troops from Afghanistan in 2013, a series of accusations have emerged about the conduct of the elite special forces units.
We will make an appeal, and we now, thanks to some recent social media activities, we have the funds to lodge.
We now go to the world sports with handball news because Cuba qualified for the Men's World Championship after winning the North American and Caribbean Men's Championship hosted by Mexico. Cuba, who won as undefeated, is also the only country that has been on the podium in all editions of this regional tournament, having won it in 2018, being runner-up in 2014 and bronze medalist in 2022. The World Handball Championship will be held from January 14th to February 2nd, 2025, and will be jointly hosted by Croatia, Denmark, and Norway. In Germany, authorities reported that security at the 2024 Euro Cup will be at all-time high.
European Championship organizers said they will seek to protect themselves from a variety of threats such as possible terrorist attacks. Security forces will be in charge of protecting some 2.7 million fans. 24 team sites spread throughout the country and 10 stadiums where 51 matches will be played between June 14th and July 14th. In addition to the aforementioned measures, German Interior Minister Nancy Faeser stated that different teams will be subject to reinforced security measures to avoid any possible situations.
In this context, the Euro 2024 Football Championship trophy arrived on Monday at the Allianz Arena in Munich, Germany, where the opening match between Germany and Scotland will be played on June 14th. This will be the 17th edition of the European tournament for national teams, with some countries already emerging as favorites such as Germany, France, Italy, and Spain. Approximately 2.7 million spectators will attend the 51 matches in the stadiums, with around 7 million fans expected to travel to Germany. The defending champion is the Italian team, who won the final game against Italy on July 11, 2020, with a score of 3-1. We have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. So join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.